Welcome to part 6 of our video series on best practices for building a page in Sitefinity. Here's what we'll be covering in this video. Our Sitefinity certified developer, Jeremy, will be finishing up content on our culture page. He'll show you how we utilize shared content blocks when we want the same content on multiple pages of our site. And then, before publishing, he'll show you how to view the page to make sure it looks great on mobile devices.
Welcome back. This is Jeremy with Smooth Fusion with the last of our video installments of creating the culture page here on smoothfusion.com. It is the last page, or the last installment of this little video series that we're doing. I went ahead and I created these sections already. I looked them over before I started recording and realized that this was all things that we had already done. Nothing that I used was outside of what we had already covered in the other videos. So just like magic, I went ahead and created it. It took about 20-25 minutes tops. Pretty simple stuff, but I didn't want to drag you guys through my horrible jokes and trying to figure out how to fill time while I did the same thing over and over again. So went ahead and did that. The last thing that I have not done, however, is this section at the bottom, this ready to make something great section. The reason I left this is if you look at our pages, which I hope you have, it's on almost every page. Not every page. If it was on every page, I would have put it on the template so nobody had to mess with it ever. But it's not quite on every page. We have a few pages we didn't want this, so it's not on the template, so we need to add it. So what do we do for content that is on almost every page, but not every page, and we want to be able to duplicate it easily? Well, we could go in and copy it like we did before. I'm actually going to go ahead and get my spacing on there. I'm pretty sure I need to have a little more white space between there. Let's take a look. Yeah, we'll want a little bit of spacing, so we'll throw that on there for now. So what do we do for these content blocks? Well, we could go in here and you know, inspect and copy and paste like I showed you before with documentation, but instead what we have done is we have done this use shared. So we're going to pick content block left, or contact, not content, and contact block right. So what this is essentially some HTML we made in the content block, and we clicked this well, we can't do it on that one. Let me find the content block right here. Click this share button. And what that does is it creates in the content block section of Sitefinity this HTML so that it can be reused on pages multiple times. So this way we don't have to go in and recreate. We want this exact thing on the bottom of every page almost. So this way we don't have to worry about content managers having to figure out how to do it or anything else like that. This is just already ready to go. We do have this implemented in other places as well. If you notice these two blocks at the top of our homepage for progress and custom apps, on our expertise page as well, you will see the same content blocks, and those are the same idea, just using some different content blocks. But that way, we didn't have to go in and recreate those every time. So go ahead and share those on the page, and let's preview. Make sure I got my spacing right. I kind of think I did, but we'll double check me, just for the sake of fun. Hey, we're right. Excellent. So we're done, right? Page is created. We have all the content. Everything between the header and footer exists. Our page is done. Yay, celebrate. Go turn it over and let the content managers be happy, right? Wrong. There is one thing, one very large thing we have not considered yet at all, and that is our mobile views, our responsive views. We've only made this page for desktop at this point, so we need to consider how it's going to look at different sizes. This is where our Bootstrap documentation is going to come back into handy. If you did not get some light reading in earlier, here is some heavy reading. This is a lot that you do not need to understand fully to be able to make a responsive page, but it is good reference material. I would recommend using it until you have sort of embedded it into your head if you're making a lot of content pages. So essentially the way breakpoints work is they look to see how big the window is. So in this case, my monitor, we're looking at this, it's 1920 pixels wide. And so that's my breakpoint is what they call it. So in Bootstrap, they have these widths that they're breakpoints. So extra large is anything over 1200, large is 992. So these are pretty common. Like this is pretty common desktop, this is pretty common laptop, tablet, and then we get into the phone areas. So what we want is we want to make sure this all looks correct on different devices. Now most of our columns, most of our like default layouts will default to stack on mobile, which is exactly what we want them to do. But what about all this space? We have all this space sort of in between things, and once we get down to mobile, that's going to be a lot of white space, especially in like these sections. That's going to be a lot to scroll through. And actually, we're going to take a look and see how much that's going to be to scroll through. So if you haven't used this before, this is a nice little feature that Chrome has. So you'll notice this is the actual culture page, and you notice we did remove a lot of the white space out of here. We did let things stack, but we did remove a lot of the space between sections. And the way we did that is using these breakpoints. So this breakpoint definition and sort of description gives a general idea for what these breakpoints are, but it doesn't exactly say how to implement them now. However, if we go back to our spacing documentation over here, we notice this one line I skipped when we talked about it earlier. Using the format property size and size, which is how we've been using it, property size and size, and you can also put breakpoint in. So, for instance, if we want to say make this lose some space, we have some space around this container. Let's say we want to get rid of some space. So we want it to have no padding. And then once we get up to a large screen, so that's over 992, we want to have 5. So basically we don't need any spacing unless we're on a pretty big monitor, and then we want to go ahead and have a lot of spacing. And so if we look at our culture page, we see that's exactly, this doesn't have any spacing around it really. It looks pretty close to the top here, and then if I bring it out, you see we got our spacing back. There is some still spacing down here at the bottom, but I'm going to guess that's coming from our image. So if we go look at our container around the image, yeah, we didn't put a breakpoint on this, so this always has 5 padding around it. And so we've gone through that page and sort of made sure that all of our breakpoints make sense so that no matter what size our customers are looking at the page on, it always looks as good as it can. So with that, I think that wraps up our content management sort of walkthrough of how we create pages on smoothfusion.com. We would love some feedback on how these videos were. If there was something you feel like I glazed over or skipped, or you really wanted to see the videos I threw away of me making these sections, I'll make them again for you. I'm good with that. But swing on by our site, let us know, and be happy to help you out. Thanks for watching, guys.
We hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions about the topics discussed, please reach out to us through our website. And you can also visit our website for Sitefinity resources that will help you and your team get the most out of your Sitefinity CMS.